Hey everyone. So, I saw the movie last night. Definitely got some thoughts. Overall, I thought it was very satisfying. I was very happy with how everything came together. Having felt like so much was already shown to us in the trailers, I was happy that there was still some surprises left. It almost could have been titled Becoming Power Rangers, because it's only in the last half an hour where the Power Rangers iconography appears. However, that's not a criticism. I actually enjoyed that they spent so long developing the characters and that they all had to earn their keep, as it were, as superheroes. Over in the TV show for the last 5 years, they don't have to earn anything, they just get handed stuff every episode. That's because each season's episode count has been compressed more and more, and so to get all the toys they need to feature into a season, it comes at the expense of having, a story. So it was nice to see the Power Rangers having ample room to breathe again. This was the equivalent runtime to 6 episodes of the TV show, so really it wasn't in your face with toys at all. I get that they're trying to reposition Power Rangers as a high-end property alongside the likes of Marvel, DC, maybe even Transformers. And I think to the most part they succeeded in doing that here. The script was good, it was coherent, it didn't jump around all over the place, it was witty, it was a little more tongue-in-cheek, a bit more like a Marvel movie. The ending invites a sequel perfectly without forcing it like it's going to be a dead cert, which in this day and age is rare. It's a much more humble and respectful way of doing it. We've seen multiple franchises that just steamroll through, think they're going to get a sequel, don't, and then you end up with angry moviegoers who don't have their answers. And then you have films that kind of go into purgatory. They were never completed as a story, so they're not worth as much. Those films become a bit of a joke, and I'm glad that this one at least tried to tie things up, just in case this is the only one we get. If you haven't seen it yet, turn away now because I'm going to be discussing it based on the premise that you have. Yes, generally I think the movie is good, however I think my brain's been staying a bit active on the logic and plot holes, like, it was a nice surprise to see Rita as the Green Ranger. Don't understand why she didn't morph into it again though, surely that would have given her a bit more of an edge. So Jason had his ankle tag reprogrammed by Billy to make it seem like he's always at home, but won't the sheriff one day find that a bit weird and come a-calling? Can't always be home. He has school. How did Rita find Trini, or Trini, without knowing that she was a ranger? In her bedroom she kind of has to sniff her and that's how she works out she's the Yellow Ranger. Before that though, she knew she was a ranger, but we don't know how. My brother noticed this one, so there's an alpha line of dialogue that the Zords modelled themselves on the most powerful creatures on Earth at the time, which were dinosaurs. Then when the Zords are holding the line and fall into the furnace pit, they kind of fuse together and become the most powerful being on Earth, that being a human, or rather Power Rangers, or possibly a fused team of Power Rangers because of all the colours they've got going on. But surely now the Megazord can't separate into Zords again, can it? So what happens if there is a sequel? Did the Rangers just walk their Megazord back to their cave? Surely any of the townspeople could have followed them. Maybe Tommy and Kimberly originals followed them. Speaking of the command centre ship, wasn't that entire quarry due to be removed, so isn't that another way that the ship's going to be discovered sooner or later? Or was it possibly far enough away? I'm not too sure about that. I still don't get what Kimberly did or didn't do. Some kind of girl shaming? It didn't make a great deal of sense to me. The power sword. Don't get it. Why is it only the Red Ranger that can tap into the morphing grid and unlock his weapon? Why not everyone else? Surely they are all equal. It wasn't used very much. I would have liked to have seen it clash with Rita's staff, perhaps. Why does it have a place in the ship? That actually reminded me of the end of Super Megaforce. Why doesn't it just disappear with the rest of the armour? Those were all things I thought didn't make sense, but then, like with a lot of modern films, there were also pieces that I was expecting to see from the trailers that just weren't there. Zack mentions that he's jumped over a house, and in one of the trailers you actually see that moment, but I don't think we saw that in the film unless I just kind of closed my eyes for a minute. The kiss that didn't happen, the one that was going to ignite the fury of the Tommy Kimberly shippers, it was in the trailer, but it was not in the film. The martial artist doing flips on the top of the train, who was that supposed to be? Zack? Also thought it was interesting that the Alpha 5 part was written to be more compassionate. Bill Hader said on the IGN premiere livestream that he had to re-record all of his part in just 2 days. Originally he was much more of a sarcastic character, which alongside the coldness of Zordon kind of ended up being like two bullies, almost like a Bulk and Skull, kind of always getting the Rangers down. There was no positivity to it. So that's a change that I think does work for the better, though it was so typically Power Rangers style, all ADR'd on afterwards, because the Rangers don't really seem to have much interaction with Alpha, they don't seem to acknowledge his support. I suppose in the original scenes He wasn't supportive, and maybe their responses to him reflected that, and so that probably got cut out as well. Rita seemed very lonely. No space station, no telescope, no minions, no dumpster, no backstory, sadly. Not really, anyway. Goldar seems stupid. I mean, he was on the TV show as well, but at least he made it funny. Here he was just a lackey. At the end, he was basically the Ectomorphicon from the first movie, and Rita was basically Ivanhoe. She even gets swatted away by the Megazord in similar fashion. Krispy Kreme. Now, I would say I'm a fan of Krispy Kreme. I did consider buying the Thai donuts, but in the UK you have to order a dozen at a time, and I don't like to have all the same flavour. But this could almost be the Krispy Kreme movie. I was half expecting the ending scene to be set in there. It was too much. It jarred with the tone quite considerably to be constantly reminded about donuts. Definitely no Ernie's juice bar here. Billy blew up his locker. That should get you expelled, surely. Not just in detention. He should be the one on the tag. I do think they added Billy's second lunchbox explosion in post, because that line seemed really ADR. There was no actor there. Perhaps ending on a frame of Tommy's empty chair didn't pack a great deal of punch as an ending, and especially for the people that don't know what it's supposed to mean. Rather than the ending falling a bit flat, they thought they would add another little bit of explosion, go out with a bang as it were, and then get a little laugh in the process. So they've been very tactful about a sequel, but if they do make one, can Amy Jo Johnson and Jason David Frank be the new Tommy's parents, please? Getting real, they are now the only two actors to appear in all 3 Power Rangers movies. We want them for another one, don't we? Number 4. I like that they gave each other that classic Tommy Kimberly look, and that they wore their signature colours. It was honestly a good cameo. It was obvious to those who are in the know, but it wasn't distracting or confusing to those who don't know who they are. Seriously though, imagine if they were Mr. and Mrs. Oliver in the next one. That would be awesome. I think I'm getting sidetracked. Also interesting how this is totally pointless. This guy is totally pointless in this scale because they never actually fight him on their level. Target also had this weird bit of movie merchandise which had this slogan on that I felt sure was going to be part of the film. It kind of almost sounded like a Batman Begins style line, but just really overlong and overwrought. It wasn't uttered as far as I can recall, so what was the deal? Are we going to see a deleted scene with that at some point? Yeah, I think there'll be a bit more merch that doesn't make a great deal of sense, but I do remember one of the Bandai reps saying that they had to make all these based on kind of early design work before seeing the finished products. So yeah, maybe they were just operating too far ahead. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you can answer any of these questions that are burdening my mind. Do you agree with what I've said? Did you have similar problems? Definitely go and see it though. It's really fun to have so many different mediums for this franchise at this moment in time, and I'd like that to continue. See you later.